Okay. Back by popular demand, the infamous disco list. You guys ready?
I'm very ready.
Absolutely.
Okay. Let's start off with the Canadian contingency, a guy that I know no matter, you actually took him off the list, put him back on the list. I can't see him getting off the list on the foreseeable future because he went into a very vehement tirade on you recently on Twitter.
Ugh.
Don Lord Cyrus Callis.
He's on the list. You want to talk about this?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
So Meltzer was Meltzer recently, like, when AEW tried to spin last week that they won, right, in that head to head against SmackDown, and there's I listened to that clip where Brian and Dave went over. We're talking about, let's for the fans out there that I'm sure everybody knows this, but
Maybe
SmackDown has been,
because I don't.
Well, maybe they don't. Okay, SmackDown has been the number one show on professional wrestling for how long now?
For a while.
Year and a half.
For a while. Okay, and it's not losing numbers. They're pretty consistently between like 2.1 million and 2.3 million. Like every week, they have a built-in audience, right? And it's the biggest audience in professional wrestling. Okay, so Dave, after that show, okay, I get there's so many people that block me on Twitter. I get this guy. Who's this guy? The Great Fowler. Do you follow him, Joe?
I recognize the handle. I'm not really sure who it is.
All right. Well, let me show you this exchange from last week after Friday when Tony Khan.
You want to talk about this after the disco list? Or you want to talk about it right now?
This is part of the disc. This is part of the
disco list. All right, go ahead.
It's all part of the disc because this is all talked. It's all leads into Don Callis being on the list, which is why this is an omnibus disco list.
All right.
This disco list is going to be very.
This is a double decker like in Britain with the.
We haven't had one in a long time.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so this is
like the SmackDown, the supersized SmackDown. Yeah,
it's like the WrestleMania of disco lists.
All right.
Okay. So this guy Peter Rosenberg, I guess. What does Peter Rosenberg do, Joe?
He's a radio DJ from New York, and he also does those pre-show panels for WWE.
Pre-show panels for right. Okay, which I don't watch. So he tweets after that, because Meltzer and everybody were reporting that they won the ratings battle, even though like SmackDown. What was the ratings? Like 866 to. It was
to like 570. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. They beat up like 300,000 fans, but there were 250,000 fans. But like for 15 minutes, like they in the demo, AEW won, right? And these guys, like everybody, Tony Khan tweeted about Alvarez, they won victory, stuff anything they can. I'm going to show how ridiculous this is, right? So this guy Peter Rosenberg tweets, shout out to the people in the comments who A, don't understand ratings at all, and B, in their attempt to discredit Roman, end up completely burying Ruby Soho and Bunny instead. This Great Fowler guy tweets, who blocks me, how can someone be so wrong every time? And then Dave tweets, I get being a homer and all, but smart homers who work in the entertainment world and know better shouldn't be outright lying. Besides, it's not about who won anyway. It's about what you learn from the results. If you don't learn, you're way behind those that do. And Peter responds, David, I know you were not talking about someone else lying. I know that's not what you're doing. Trust me, you don't want this convo. Go back to the basement and work on our Zine, or work on your Zine. I have to get some sleep before my New York City morning show. Then Dave tweets back at him, when you have facts on your side, you give facts. When you know you can't fight with facts, you name call. I think that was maybe from my third grade teacher. Facts. 328,000 to 285,000 head-to-head, despite a 2-hour head start and a company maybe 12 times as large revenue-wise. Okay? So then Raj Giri, so then Dave tweets,
he was from.
So then Dave tweets.
He was from wrestling.
So Dave tweets. Yeah. So somebody said, why did you change your tune over the radio? It used to be total viewership, because he has a tweet back from 2019 that basically says, it's total viewership. So Dave says, I was told by people in advertising with TV stations that I was wrong, and that's why the charts are based on 18 to 49, so I learned. So Raj Giri tweets, so not until 2019 you learned you were wrong? So why not a correction for all the times you said it was overall viewers that mattered, not the demo? If there was one, please send the link. Then Dave tweets, I was told by people that, okay, but that was a
real
tweet, okay?
Just so Conan knows, Raj Giri, he used to run Wrestling Inc. Now it's WrestleZone, I believe.
Oh, he runs WrestleZone?
I think so. or one of those guys made the switch like that.
Because one of those guys, yeah. Okay.
And who's the great Fowler?
I don't know.
I don't know. He blocks
Yeah,
me. I guess he's in with Meltzer and those guys. I don't know who this guy is. Like, some Mark. So the tweet that Dave put, I was told by people in advertisement TV stations I was wrong, and that's why the charts are based on 18 to 49, so I learned. And then I quote to you that as a quote, people in advertising, it sounds like solid sourcing. Okay, now let me make a comment here. This is what people just do not understand. This is going to be a soliloquy on the ratings war as it was previously and the ratings war that's been invented now. Okay, back when the ratings war, when we were going head to head with WWE. Okay, people have got to understand. Now the advertisers do look at that number, the key demo. Like that's the main demo they look at. They look at other things. Okay, people think that's all they look at. It's ridiculous. That's the main thing they look at when they're setting advertising. Like the rates. Okay.
They look at it for podcasts. They look at it for everything.
Podcasts too, right? Okay. But what you have to understand is back in the old WC, the old actual real wrestling war. Okay, when we were going head to head, same time. Same date, just both shows were on at the exact time, and you're battling, just like Eric Bischoff recently tweeted, you're battling for market share. You're battling for fans, okay? Because back then, we were running 20, 25 nights a month, just like they were, and your television show was a marketing tool to build a fan base, to drive your merchandise, your everything, right? But the difference is WWE was getting advertising rights. Advertising fees, okay? The station, they were paying them to have the show on their channel. WCW wasn't getting any rights fees. We were owned by Turner, so they were not like the Turner Network Television owned the company. So we were just a show that was being broadcast, part of the network of TNT. Okay, so that's one thing that nobody really is even bringing up in the conversation, even understanding. Back then, WCW was not getting any rights fees. Okay, so we were trying, like in the wrestling war, as basically understood by everybody in the business, including the dirt sheet guys. We were fighting for fans' total viewership, and that's what we measured it for every single week. Okay, so now let's fast forward to today, and these guys basically are, they're trying to say that there is a wrestling war, even though AEW doesn't want to go head to head with Raw, doesn't want to go head to head with SmackDown. Okay, that's very clear. Okay, and for reasons which I would say, like they know they would probably lose, even though they're trying to deflect that obvious data point is that they know they would probably lose head to head. But we've always said they should go head to head. Because both, WWE's programming right now is a wounded animal. They're putting a lot of childish programming on there and stuff. And like we said, bro, we rip apart Raw every single week, right? So they could have gone head to head. And I've even admitted as such that AEW would be better going head to head, all right? But what they're doing is they're not going head to head, and they're trying to pull some W's and trying to basically paint the picture and the narrative, which is a false narrative, that AEW is outperforming WWE. Would you agree? But based on what you read, Conan, isn't that kind of like the wrestling media narrative that you're kind of getting from them? Would you agree with that?
Well, I don't read it as much as you do, and I don't listen to Dave.
I don't read it.
Yeah, okay, well, I don't listen. I don't really listen to any of it because I'm just so tired of everybody trying to be the smartest guy in the room. I know more than you, and if you don't agree with me, you're. I hate that whole thing, so I try not to get into it. What I do feel is that they're going to, much like anybody else, remember when Chris Jericho was like, I think Marco stunts like Rey Mysterio? Come on, dude. Who are you kidding? Right. But what's he supposed to say? When Joe says, we're doing great numbers on this show, what's he supposed to say? People aren't listening to that show. But what is Tony supposed to say? He's supposed to eke out any W, and that's what he does as a promoter. We beat them in the 18 to 49, and that's all he's going to say. He's not going to bring anything else up. He's proud of that fact, right? So I'm not against him doing that, but let's be real about this conversation. You know what I'm saying?
The dirt sheet guys need to be real about it. That's the problem here, because Tony can say what he wants, and you're absolutely right. If I was Tony Khan, I would be doing the exact same thing he's doing. Like, there's nothing Tony Khan's doing that I have any issue with at all.
Right.
It's the way that the media, which were supposed to be like these trusted sources of news, are covering this, and they're whitewashing the data and just literally picking out W's for them. And that's what it looks like. You can continue.
Right. And I just think a lot of them they're like, oh, look, Tony, we're on the bandwagon. We're helping you. I don't know if they're trying to get hired or what it is. Like, I can tell you straight up, people always say, oh, Conan, AEW, he's putting Tony over, because I don't need work in AEW. Let's get that right off the bat. Bro, I can tell you a story where they wanted me to go to and I'm not going to tell people's names because it isn't the moment to say it, but they wanted me to go to AEW because, listen to this, Impact has some deal with AEW, or had a deal that, the talent would go to each promotion like for free, or some guys were doing it for free, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not doing that. I'm not a mark. I'm not going on there for free,
Right.
And so at the end of the day, I don't need work from Tony Khan. I like Tony Khan as a person, and I hope he does very well because I like him, But if you put them over, you're shilling, or you're trying to get a job. If you don't put somebody over, you hate them, and everybody's the smartest guy in the room. And I'm tired of all that, and so that's basically all I got to say on that.
Okay. So Alvarez quote tweets my tweet where I say people in advertising sounds like solid sourcing. Alvarez quotes, brother, what are those top 50 cable charts sorted by? Okay. So then
what's that supposed to mean?
They're all in on the demo.
The
wrestling media has decided on their own, okay, that the rules have changed for the wrestling wars. We're not trying
basically
to draw
overall numbers don't matter, just 18 to 49. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, that's absolutely. Would you agree with that, Joe? That's what they're saying?
Yeah, because sometimes they'll post a chart that it does list the number one show for the night as the one that was number one in 18 to 49, not necessarily total viewers. So the charts have changed too.
Okay, right, but then this is what these guys have to understand. Then this is another part, a data point that people just do. These guys don't bring up, and and it's fascinating that they're not bringing up because they're supposed to be the wrestling media, right? So he puts, brother, what are those top 50 cable charts sorted by? Lance Storm responds, dude, this is worse than responding to the people that Dave does, which means like when Dave responds to the people with 5 followers sometimes and everything and all that. Right. Okay, so then our boy Don Callis responds to that tweet by Lance Storm and says, Glenn is a professional blithering idiot. Without the internet, he's the crazy guy in the corner ranting at pedestrians. Okay, and then this is another interesting quote tweet. Kenny Omega quote tweets that, okay, and says, listen to this quote. Let me see here.
He said
Kenny Omega tweets, and he's a too, and he's also, well, what do you say? I'm trying to find it here.
He's a too.
And he's a too. So Kenny Omega, so Kenny Omega's taking a shot at me, right?
Right.
So then Don Callis tweets again. All right. Don Callis tweets again. Let me see that. God, where is he? Hang on a minute. I gotta find this. They're all over the place. These guys are all, Don Callis tweets again. And also, don't forget these also. And then Don Callis tweets. And also a punk, a wimp, a milquetoast, a twerp, and fully hashtag bitchmate. Okay. Which I popped out. I thought that was funny, right? So then I quote tweeted Don's quote that Glenn is a professional blithering idiot, okay? And bro, you know me, right? Okay. What if I was somebody else in this business, how do you think they'd probably be reacting to this? They'd probably be embarrassed.
Shots fired.
Or whatever. So I quote tweeted Don Callis. Easiest part of having thick skin is when you're attacked on social media by the biggest imbeciles in the business. Okay, so right. And I got some stuff. But so I've been basically attacked by the people that I'm critical of.
What? It's a milk toast.
I think like a pansy.
Like a dork.
All right.
Yeah, right. So okay, it's actually not a bad cut down to use.
Yeah,
somebody should start using.
It's a throwback. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. It's not a bad line.
It's a timid or feeble person. Can we say feeble?
I guess so.
Huh.
But I want to point this out. Joe, do this.
I like when
This
you were
is-
wearing the dark glasses, Joe. I don't like this
No
look.
glasses.
Yeah. Joe, pull up Rampage's ratings for the past 8 weeks. Okay.
Icky.
This is my issue with this. Okay, and I want to go back to one of Dave's tweets. Okay, because Dave tweeted, this is his exact words after Friday night, and the numbers, then Dave's tweeting. This is the tweet I have a lot of issue with, and I'm going to categorically, because this is what I do. You've seen me on this show. I point out things people say. I'll argue the point specifically, and I catch them in a bear trap. Okay, so.
All right, which ones do you?
So Dave,
where do you want to know from?
Okay, read from the Punk debut, the first show.
Punk debut 1.13 million. Following week 720,000. Following week 696. Following week 670. Following week 642. Following week 640. Following week 622. Following week 502. Up until last week, which was 578, which was the first time it had increased.
Let's go 502. What's this? Give me the math from the first show minus the 502. What are those two? What's the first number again?
1.129, so 609,000.
609,000. Okay, so what percentage is that of viewers lost in a 7-week period? If you can put on the calculator, it's over 50%.
Yeah, it's over.
Well over 50%. It's like 56, almost 60%, right? So this is my issue with this. Okay, Dave went on a rant after this because of the 380 to 280, whatever the 15-minute window of the demo that they beat them in the demo on Friday night when one show was on FS1 and the other show, they were on the regular time, right? Is that Dave made this comment and he went on and ranted about that. This is all the reasons that all the changes WWE has to make. So listen to this tweet again. I get being a homer and all, but smart homers who work in the entertainment world and know better shouldn't be outright lying. Besides, it's not about who won anyway. It's about what you learn from the results. If you don't learn, you're whatever the thing was. I'm like, Dave, how can you ignore on the how can you, if you're not learning from the results, how can you ignore the ratings collapse of Rampage? You're posting a W for them. Talk about how like you're actually trying to make it sound like that Rampage is outperforming WWE on a night when they
not only that,
so they're ignoring the problems that they have.
Okay, but not only that. Here's my other thing, bro. Are you not bringing up the fact that they're on FS1? That's a lesser station.
Of course, this is like the argument is so.
And
ridiculous.
Here's the other question. Here's the other question because you talk a lot and then I forget.
Good.
Here's the other thing. He thinks that they need to make changes. Now I want to make sure you're correct here. To SmackDown.
Oh, he was talking about the WWE.
Or
we could
just
actually,
in general.
In general, but including SmackDown, obviously, because he thinks
SmackDown needs
is like
no help.
Right.
That's
like,
bro. SmackDown, as to me, as a writer, you as a former writer, is a perfect show.
Because they got good actors.
Every segment is good. Every segment, there's good continuation. There's good acting. There's good storyline. There's a good thread. There's a good beginning. There's a good ending. The women are featured prominently. The undercard guys are featured prominently. They've done a real good job over there.
And they're steady in the ratings. And they're the number one watch show on television. So WWE, like trying to spin that like SmackDown needs to learn something from the guy that's supporting the company that just lost 60% of its viewers in an 8-week period for reasons that we brought up are probably like bro.
And if we're gonna be honest, bro, I watch Rampage because it's only an hour and it's not that good, and it's definitely not anything as good as SmackDown is.
Right. So because these guys 8 weeks ago were talking about bro, they were having a parade when Punk debuted. And here we are 8 weeks later, and it's like, dude, you don't think you guys have been making mistakes these past 8 weeks and don't even, you don't want to learn from the results, which is what Dave is talking about? And he says if you don't learn, you're way behind those that do. It's like, we keep pointing out, dude, you're adding in the AEW, and there's not a lot of wrestling fans right now. There's like 2.5 million wrestling fans out there. Maybe like 2.8, whatever it is. And it's a bubble of fans that are watching shows. They're not drawing new fans, okay? So when you're adding a show, okay, and I talked about this. You kind of disagree, but you caught on after a couple of weeks when you saw the type of show they were producing. I said it's going to be very difficult to give the fans another hour of programming to watch and have them have them support it. And bro, they're not putting a show on that you would want to support because it's not good. It's not that the matchups are lame.
And I still disagree with you. I still disagree with you. I still think they could put on a good 1 hour kick-ass show.
I agree with that. Yeah. And we're saying, like, bro, you're not.
You've got the cast for it.
Right. Why can't you put on Punk versus Adam Cole? I mean, you can. Right. It's like, you've got all the tools there to put on a more compelling show, and for some reason you're not. And it's like, I'm telling you guys that we're telling Dave and all these guys, if you don't learn, you're way behind. Bro, you need to learn. Just putting Punk on TV is not going to draw, and it's been proven. Right. These guys need to be in compelling storylines, which they are not doing. And it's obvious they're not doing because the ratings tell that. Do some compelling storylines, put the top guys against each other, and I think everybody would agree the show would increase in the ratings, right? But they're not doing that. They're still doing this mid-card guys and stuff, and Punk's wrestling Hobbs and so whatever, So it's like
Garcia and
Daniel Garcia. I'm like, come on. It's like, how come me and you are the only people talking about this, and like everybody else is trying to just on WWE? It's like, dude, it's like. We call it like we see, and we keep it.
Because, like I said, I don't really read too much, because I'm just tired of the same blathering. So I don't really know what they're talking about. But I mean, I almost feel like there's this huge anti-WWE wave. That's cool. You don't like them, but don't kid yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In your hate, there's so much hate that you don't want to talk to nobody else. You don't want to see the other side's victories. You don't want to see your shortcomings, and that's part of the short-sightedness of this problem,
Yeah. Because they're being competitive against the other company. But like, bro, the Monday Wars, people were clicking back and forth because the content of both shows was great. That's what they were fighting for viewership. They were putting they're not. These guys aren't fighting. They're just putting the regular cookie-cutter television out there, and it's like, bro, the numbers aren't going up. Yeah. And we talk about this every week. It's like I said, we're very critical of WWE. But, like, the people that are critical of WWE, bro, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be critical of AEW, too. The numbers merit criticism. Right. And the criticism that we give is pretty cut and dry and pretty obvious. And it's like, why can't we get these other people to talk about this? It's like they refuse to criticize AEW, which is strange coming from the media. And then again, there is glaring problems that they have. But Don Callis is on the list, I took shots at him, and I'm going to take some more shots at him too,
right?
Because I think he deserves it. So maybe I'll tell you this: I'm going to give an open invitation.
And he did it while he was on a cruise. You would think he'd be there having a good time, but he's over there, throwing shade.
Let me call. Me, thick skin. Okay, and what happens if there's critics of us? We're willing to invite them on, right?
Right.
Okay, I'm more than welcome to bring critics on the show to argue with this stuff. We invited Sean Ross Sapp. He declined because he'd rather go on Twitter and be a keyboard warrior. Did you see what he tweeted?
No, I don't follow him.
Okay,
I knew about him because
we'll get to him. I'm gonna put him. I might put him on the list. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Well, we might talk about that when we do the show.
All right.
Okay, but Don Callis.
The Canadian contingency continues. Lance Storm, who also took shots
on the list for that.
Okay.
Yes, he's on
for
the
that
list.
And
all those guys
other remarks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Scott Tuggles D'Amore.
I'm surprised they didn't get a call from Impact. They're in town this week, and they could have used probably the number one heel in the business. But they didn't want, whatever. So.
Wow. Chris, I live in a gigantic mansion. I need a forklift to move my fish tank Jericho.
Okay, did you hear about the boarding process on the cruise? Did you hear this story?
No.
Okay, now first of all, I know it's a story, but when you're boarding a cruise, it's not a 15-minute process. Like, it does usually take a little bit of time, but supposedly they were doing COVID testing.
But you're supposed to, but when I went, I was like fast-tracked. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But go ahead.
Well, the passengers complained because they said it was a horrible experience because it took like 6 hours for them to board with the COVID testing.
Wow.
And they said it was just a disaster. But they're on the thing now. Big deal, whatever. It's,
you blame this all on Chris Jericho?
Yes.
Okay.
I would hope he writes about this experience in his next book.
I'm glad he's on the list because I'm pretty sure he solicited Brian Cage and Ricky Starks to attack me in Philadelphia too. So he should remain on the list.
It's a possibility. Well, let me tell. But I want to say this too about Don Callis and Kenny Omega. Don Callis and Kenny Omega. If you guys have criticism means them, more than welcome to come on our show. More than well. Yeah, I'm willing to debate that if these guys have an issue with me. I'm willing to debate okay, on this show at the same time. Callis, Kenny Omega, Lance Storm, and Brian Alvarez. All four. If you guys have issues with me, I'm more than willing to defend my views and have discussions with you. There's an open invitation for you guys to come on and put me in my place. If that's what you think you can do, you're more than welcome. So this is an open invitation. We keep it 100 here, and I'm not shy and I'm not scared. So these guys are more than welcome to come on the show.
Rebecca Evers.
Oh, is that the one that's Lance's daughter? Yeah, Lance's daughter.
Let people know, because some people haven't heard the list in a while. She's on there for throwing shade on you on Twitter also, right?
Yeah, I never met the girl. And then Lance tweeted something about me, like called me an idiot or something like that. And she tweeted he's an idiot or stupid or something like that. And he said, can't he be both or something like that? She's on the list. And she'll be on the list forever because she can't apologize at this point because it's out there. So
how about Rachel Ellering?
She's not on the list, is she?
Yeah. I'm not sure why.
Oh, no. Wait, she took shots at me. Wait a minute. Isn't that the girl that was running the training school that got kicked out of Canada or something like that?
No, that was a different one.
Who is that?
Rachel Ellering is on the list because she's Lance Storm's trainee.
Oh yeah, put her on the list. Yeah, she's still on the list.
The other girl you're mentioning, I forget her name, but I know what you mean.
Nicole Matthews.
Nicole Matthews, yeah.
Right, she's also on the list.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is she? Yeah,
yes.
Let's put her on the list. She threw shade at me, but then supposedly her brother was involved in some molestation scandal or something. The rest is a Me Too thing or whatever. I don't know. So
yeah.
All right.
What else?
Also, the North Kakalaki contingency of Matt Hardy, Jeff, Maxwell, Wolfgang, Bartholomew, Rebbe, Senor Benjamin, Shane Helms, and the unborn baby girl, or she already born?
They had another kid already?
Yeah. Didn't they have a girl?
Well, if born or not, I'm going to put if not born, I'm going to put the fetus, the Hardy fetus, all of them, and all those rednecks are all on the list.
Wow. Yeah. One fell swoop. I like that.
So I'm going to put this too. Include this. Whenever you talk about the Hardys, include the Hardy family office too.
Yeah, that definitely. Let me put that in there because that's brutal.
It's an atrocious, it's a brutal faction, right?
And name.
Buddy, but who is okay? Let's go over the Hardy family office. Somehow is Butcher and Blade, Private Party, a Bunny. And is there anybody else?
Jack Evans and Helico.
Jack Evans and Helico.
I mean, that's like the Dungeon of Doom. Remember when the Dungeon of Doom had a leprechaun and the
just all these people thrown together for no reason.
Right. Okay. Jimmy, Kevin Kleinrock, and Arrow Lucha.
Did you hear Justin Turner's? What's the guy that does the announcing for AEW? Justin Turner. What's his name?
Justin Roberts.
Justin Roberts.
Excuse me.
Justin Turner's a player for the Dodgers.
For the Dodgers, right. Justin Roberts. Did you hear him announce for the AAA championship belts on AEW? Yeah, I think it was taking a shot at me on that. But the AAA is on the list, and I'm going to put Justin Roberts on the list.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So you can collectively put Kevin Kleinrock and Justin Roberts, okay, for promoting AAA.
You got an addition.
Okay.
You might even have another addition. Are you thinking of putting Ross Sapp on the list?
I'm not going to put him on the list here because the kid is just he's way too. The funniest thing is him and Bill Body have been feuding with each other for years.
Yeah.
Supposedly, okay. And they he calls him a fraud and stuff and Body's claimed that since Ross was stealing his stuff for years ago, stuff and things. So Body, the funniest thing, this to me, this is funny, okay? Because the wrestling news sites, it's you don't even read them. The news is so corny. If you're following a wrestling, Joe, you won't read the news sites, right?
Yeah, some of them, yeah.
The news Sean Ruppis is tweeting is Brock Lesnar versus Roman Reigns will be the main event tonight. The first match will be Edge versus I don't give a two about basic wrestling news. I just like the hot news, the big scoops. That's all I care about because this daily stuff I don't care about. But the funniest thing was his Body and Ross Sapp have been feuding with each other, and I didn't realize this. But Sean kept hitting me up in my DMs, complaining about Body, complaining about me. And bro, the guy's very. This is what I don't like about these guys. They're very condescending. Mm-hmm. In discussion. I'm bro, I'm open to discuss. If you want to come on the show, and he's like, why would I come on your show? So Like, well, maybe so you're not a
clear the air, right?
So you don't come across as a keyboard warrior, obviously. Because I'm willing to debate anybody that has issues with me, right? But the funniest thing was his body went on his show. Okay, and like said, he goes, "Hey, I'm just gonna steal some of Sean Ross's Sapp material just to piss him off," and he did that. And like I didn't know he had said that, and Sean Ross Sapp sold it and did get pissed off and took it all out on me.
Yeah, he sent me a screenshot or something of it.
Right, and he's like, and the funniest thing is I didn't realize Billy had said that. I'm just gonna do this just to piss him off, and he got pissed off.
Yeah.
So he like fell for it, looked like
he copy and pasted some news is what he did.
It's almost like people are like, oh yeah, I always get complaints from people about you and now Bill, right?
Right.
And it's like my whole thing is, bro, Bill Body is on our show like renting a room. You know what I'm saying? He's not on our show. He has his own show. He comes on our show for 10 minutes. Okay. Mm-hmm. He drops his hot news, which is usually pretty on point. Or if not, it wouldn't be on the show.
Right.
And then that's supposed to lead you over to his show.
We're all sports fans too. We like to talk sports. He runs
so what he does on his show has nothing to do with me. If tomorrow he shoots somebody, what the does that have to do with me?
Right.
Or who I should have on my show?
Right.
And if that's a problem with you, then we've got a problem because hey, there's a lot of our show reminds me a lot of, I'll tell you what, a little bit of, do you ever watch Pardon the Interruption?
Yeah, of course.
Kornheiser and the other guy,
right.
Like they fight, but they stay friends.
Right.
And I have a lot of friends that they're super, super mega liberals and they get mad. They get mad because I will associate with conservatives. And I'm like, bro, I don't give a and vice versa. So you're going to stop talking to me or looking at me a different way because I'm talking to, or I have a friendship with somebody that has a different political affiliation than you do or thinks differently. I welcome, opposing viewpoints. That opens up my own mind. If everybody agrees with everything I have to say, I never learn.
Yeah, this is not an echo chamber.
And your real friends are going to tell you the truth. I disagree a lot of Disco. I think he's wrong on a lot of We argue and we get over it. That's it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this generation, for whatever reason, has problems with people that don't agree with everything they say, or if you criticize somebody, that means you don't like them.
Right.
No, does not mean that. So quit complaining both. And so, my whole thing is I'm going to talk to who I want to, be friends with who I want to, and if that's something you can't deal with, then obviously you can't deal with me, and that's cool,
Right.
Yeah. I just wanted to throw that little rant out there.
I like that. When have I been wrong, though?
A lot.
I would argue that.
Yes, I know you would, but you'd always argue why you are right, but I always agree with your right to be wrong. Boom. Let me see. There was something here I wanted to tell you real quick. Where'd I put it? I can't find it. All right. So let me finish this disco list. Where are we? Okay. Ryan Satin and his girlfriend Erica Steiner.
That's still on the list because they're like, they're your typical like California snowflakes. But I'll give Ryan Satin credit. Okay, at least he don't want to anymore because like for whatever reason I don't know. But he would come on our show at least.
Yeah.
Stuff. And actually, he was actually a good guest because he was another guy that wasn't afraid of defending his opinions.
I believe us having Billy Body on before was one of the reasons Ryan.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. You're right. Let me tell you a story about Billy Body too. This is why like okay for people that are willing to defend themselves. Do you know how I became not associated with Billy Body? Do you know this story?
Through Vince.
You called him a fraud, and he proved you wrong, right?
Okay, because Vince was talking about how there was a story that Bobby Lashley had gotten COVID.
Right.
Okay, and this is right. This is the early stages of COVID, right? And everybody, they're still working. And I Vince was telling about this on the show. I'm like, come on, and I said specifically, I go, bro, that's not being reported on any of the major sites. Okay, and Vince said, what site is that? He said the Dirty Sheets, and I laughed. because I'd never heard of the Dirty Sheets, and it sounds funny. Like if you think of like the Dirty Sheets, you're thinking like, oh, this is other Mark podcast, whatever, right, and everything. So I like buried it. I said, yeah, whatever. And I was laughing at it, like this discrediting the Dirty Sheets. Bill Body called Vince and said, hey, I want to defend myself against Disco, and you know me, I don't back down. The guy was willing to come out and defend him. Was willing to argue, like if I said something to him, he wanted to defend his position. Which is all. That's all we're asking for these days. If you have issues with me, come on, let's have a discussion and defend it, so we can have it verbally instead of tweeting, typing, and stuff like that. Just hash it out. And I hashed it out with Billy Body and found out he was a sports fan, lock betting. He does a betting thing, and like he wasn't a social. He was against all the social justice warriors. That mentality and everything. So it's like, this guy brings it. So it's like that's why we have him on the show. For people that we don't want boring echo chamber, everybody agrees with everybody content. We want people that bring in, are willing to defend their positions that will be what's the word I want to use? When you have a position and it's inviting criticism, and you're willing to accept the criticism because you're willing to defend your position. I'll bring anybody on like that. Like, I don't care if I completely disagree with them, or the people like that are the people you want to have content with, because you want two people defending each other's positions instead of tweeting. They're trying to get all this. So like, and then unfortunately, Sean Ross Sapp Sapp's tweeting like, we've got way more followers than you, and like that. Then, bro, your followers are listening to you back down from having a discussion with me, which I'm willing to have, and you won't. So whatever. So those are the people that annoy me. The keyboard warriors that won't come on the show. So whatever.
The Meltzer rating system.
It's arguably one of the most ridiculous things in the wrestling business today, bro. You know what? I saw this tweet. I don't know if this is true. Did Dave tweet or supposedly Kenny Omega hasn't had anything less than a 4-star match in like years. And I recall specifically. Remember that match he had that Nakazawa was in, and they did the oil spot.
Yeah.
There's no way that match could have been 4 stars. If that like I want to, Joe, see if you could do the research on this and find out what that Dynamite match where Kenny Omega did the spot was tag teaming with Nakazawa. I think it was a 6-man tag. See what Dave gave that.
What, the one with the messed up power bomb? I was there. No. This is over a year ago. Okay, They were doing the spot early when Nakazawa was doing his oil gimmick. Okay,
and they did the oil gimmick spot in the match, and it looked ridiculous. If that match got 4 stars, it makes my point.
I will say this, that a lot of people been asking for Joe to do the oil gimmick while he's manscaping for OnlyFans, and he's thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
Joe, do you have an OnlyFans?
No, I don't have an OnlyFans.
He does, and he has the chatterbait too.
Although I got to be honest, there's several emailers to the Raven Effect that are homosexual, and they definitely hit on me and want me to switch teams and all that kind of stuff. So maybe the OnlyFans could work if those guys would buy memberships. I don't know.
Then go ahead and do it. You're not going to know if you don't try.
Could be a couple extra bucks.
You're always trying to get money any way you can.
Yes.
Cody, how did you miss this tweet? How did you miss this quote tweet I did?
Which one?
So Exotico Juventud Guerrera, at Juvi Exotico.
Right.
Tweeted at The Real Disco. Compliment 1. I agree with your takes on today's wrestling journalism.
Right.
Compliment 2.
Who is
contrary to what? This is just exotic, just of I don't know. Exotico Juventud Guerrera is the username, right?
Right.
Compliment 2. Contrary to what others say, you were over during the Monday Night Wars. Question. How much for some pics of your cash in hand and ready?
Geez.
Okay, so I answered this by saying, how much did Conan pay? I'll take $100 more. This got a lot of heat too, this tweet.
It did?
I put it because everybody's arguing like when because I had a couple tweets because I try to get some traffic for the listen to this. This is great. I forgot about this. Sports Kita covered this. Blithering idiot. This is an article in Sports Kita, Conan. Blithering idiot.
What is it? Sports Kita, which is that one?
It's a site that listens to these guys listen to our podcast, and when we say something, they constantly post things that we say.
Right.
So these guys are like one of the only news sites that listen to us, and we're providing them every week with like 2 or 3 articles.
But are they throwing out of what?
I'm not saying they're just
are they
reporting.
being?
They just report it.
Okay.
Like here, let me read.
No, because you know how
okay?
some they take out of context and it's like, bro, that's
I'm-
not what we said.
Well, let me read you this article. Blithering idiot. Kenny
Right.
Omega and Don Callis slammed WCW veteran over recent comments.
Right.
Kenny Omega, Don Callis, and others responded to former WC Cruiserweight and television champion Disco Inferno's shots at Dave Meltzer. Disco Inferno is very active on Twitter and seems to elicit reactions from all corners. On the Keep It at 100 podcast, he's known more for his heavy criticism of AEW, as well as inferring that Dave Meltzer is biased against AEW. I am not known as heavy criticism of AEW, but this is out of context. We're very critical of WWE too, so nobody they didn't mention that, but we're telling you that. But anybody listens to us knows. In this instance, he tried to make fun of Dave, changing his opinion after discussions with advertisers. Considering the chain of events, Inferno, real name Glenn Gilberti, got more than he bargained for. See the full Twitter exchange below. And we talked about this earlier, but it shows Alvarez, Storm, and Lance.
Right.
And then, as you can tell, Lance Storm seems to have put down Disco's takes as worse than regular patrons. Don Callis chimed in and tweeted, Glenn is a professional blithering idiot. Without the internet, he's a crazy guy in the corner random pedestrians. And AEW World Champion Kenny Omega topped the exchange by referring to the former WCW star as a So, here's the end of it, okay? While some have criticized Disco Inferno for not being much of a draw in WCW, he was undoubtedly successful during his time. Besides being part of stables like NW Wolfpack and the Filthy Animals, Disco was also a two-time World Television Champion, one-time WCW Cruiserweight Champion, one-time WCW World Tag Team Champion, and he does have the pedigree despite what some may say. With that said, Disco will continue to give his opinions irrespective of people's views. That's a pretty honest. I think that's a pretty honest coverage. I mean, wouldn't you say that's not? What would you say about the way that they frame that article?
Yeah, except for that WWE thing. Yeah.
Well, but they didn't just say, but they would agree. They listen. But this is honest coverage of me.
Yeah.
This is the way. This is the way I think reporting should be. Just hey, let's just see, what are the facts here? You make your own decision. You make your own determination. So whatever. But the Meltzer rating system on the list forever.
That's been the Disco list. Backed by popular demand, still infamous, and please enjoy the rest of the show. Boom.
How long was that, Joe?
Well, we've been recording for an hour and 5 minutes.
Wow.
So that is a super
about an hour.
Disco list.
That's a super disco list, yeah.
We want to do this watch along?
Sure. Let's go. Do we have a fan with us?
Yeah, let me get them.
Give me 1 second. I gotta get some weed.
All right, get some water.